podcast, the Couch GM Pod.
What is going on, Cougar fans? It is portal season, and Kirby Moore and staff are busy night and day, it seems. Today, there was a flurry of moves. There's 10 official transfers that have been announced by Washington State University's official account that we'll cover. We'll also cover some other players. There's so many names. If there's any names that we're missing or that you specifically want to highlight, drop a comment below. Let us know your thoughts on this class in general. But a ton of exciting names and prospects that are transferring over. And before we get into it, this episode is brought to you by CougFan.com. Check out CougFan for all things WSU athletics. They have breakdowns on all of these names that we'll cover. Go check it out. Subscribe to their premium membership for all things WSU athletics. If you're thinking of buying a home in 2026, reach out to myself, Connor Webb, licensed in Washington, Oregon, California, Idaho, and Arizona. You can visit LeonardConnorWebb.com to reach out and connect. And Dylan.
Yeah, when you get that home and mortgage done through Connor, lock in your energy rate for the next 25 years. Give me a buzz, text or email. But yeah, Con,
you know who doesn't need a mortgage?
Who? No, he does not. We need to make sure he's got a 30-year mortgage in Pullman. That's what we need to make sure of right now.
Lock him down for the long term. Yeah. But initial thoughts from today, obviously a lot of defensive commits. We got, a big wide receiver the other day from Florida that we'll cover. What are your just initial takeaways from this flurry that we've seen?
Big wide receiver, Tank. His name is Tank. He's 5'9" and he runs like the wind.
He's a burner. Yeah.
Yeah. Hopefully it doesn't get too windy. Might push him over, but we said this earlier, we had a little tip line letting us know, hey, you've been waiting for the defensive line, edge presence. It's coming today. And I think 3 or 4 of them, were announced. We have the Vanderbilt SEC DE, who's kind of been a journeyman, just, second on the depth chart for Vanderbilt. Just, I think, around 38 tackles, 7.5 tackles for loss, 5 sacks. And then you bring in the SMU edge. I mean, that guy had offers from Michigan, Bama, Texas, Oregon, Ohio State, DJ Warner. I mean, he was 67th nationally in 2024 or 2023. 4-star recruit. I mean, he might be one of the highest rated recruits in WSU history, at least within the last 15 minutes from a high school recruiting standpoint. I know Jameer Calvin kind of held that banner for a little while. Sorry?
You said 15 minutes. Did you mean 15 years?
Oh, yeah, 15 years. But, yeah, I mean, you also bring in E.K. Okafor. You're wondering, okay, when is, one of Andrew Browning's guys from Cal going to come in? Well, mark that off the list. Linus Zunk, who was the Vandy transfer I was speaking of earlier. When we take a look at the secondary, Jack Ball, Jeremiah Bernard, Jaleel Tucker, Jalen Thomas, really revamped that secondary, because when you take a look at it, I mean, Durant's, Tucker Large, Cale Reeder, Jamori Colson, Colby Humphrey, all graduating, a lot of seniors on this class. So you bring in a guy in Jaleel Okafor, who is a 4-star committed to Oregon, had a couple years at San Diego Mesa Junior College before playing at Oregon State this past year. But I mean, this is the greatest WSU offseason I've ever been a part of. I mean, they're a lot different in the NIL era. You have to go back to the Mike Leach days. I mean, they're bringing in athletes like Tank Williams, guys that are running a 4.25 in the 40. These edge defenders. I mean, it reminds me of the days where Coach Leach was dipping into Florida. Isaiah Johnson-Mack, Tavares Martin Jr., Keith Harrington back in the day. He had a presence there. Shout out Key West and Coach Leach. But yeah, this has just been exciting to watch. It just seems there's just constant news. I mean, it's just constantly breaking. And from what I've heard from a couple people, shout out Kuga Sutra. He's got some ties in SEC country. He teaches at Alabama. And he's hearing from people down there like, this guy's the real deal. And he's our GM. And where is this money? nobody knows. We don't know, but like I said a couple of shows ago, hey, let's do this in the shadows. I mean, that's where work is getting done. I don't care where it's coming from, but it's not a $2.5 million roster. And when we take a look at, remember that AD press conference, the Iowa State AD, where he was just basically bad mouthing WSU. This guy, he went 6-6, damn near went into Ole Miss and won James Madison, Virginia, with a $2.5 million roster. I think that pissed off a lot of Cougs, and maybe a little bit of a tinfoil hat here, but maybe you pissed off some donors and
unnamed billionaires. The game.
206 Coug has had some pretty funny memes. He had the Babadook meme today with UW and WSU. Check out his Twitter account for some good memes from the 206. But yeah, I mean, kind of rambling there, but defensively, we got it done today. Still more to do. There's still some holes, still inexperience, but take it to last year. We said the same thing about the defensive line. I mean, we knew the secondary and the linebacking core coming into the season, we expected it to play well. There was a lot of unknowns with the defensive line. Isaac Terrell still didn't, he hadn't bursted out onto the scene. Darian Dalton was a journeyman, at San Diego State. So, they did it by committee. We'll see if this staff, feels the same way, because I think that's the best way you're getting defensive line production is just rolling an 8 to 10 man rotation and keeping them all fresh.
And just for the record, we are going to have Coach Kirby Moore on the podcast after the portal ends. We are also working to get the GM on, the offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, a lot of the other coaching staff, a lot of these recruits that are committing and moving over in the portal. We're working on getting on the podcast in the coming weeks. Obviously, they're all on planes right now, so none could join us tonight. But, I mean, just a lot of excitement. And we haven't even mentioned Nathaniel Salmon, tight end, 6'6", 270 from New Zealand. This guy played 3 years of professional basketball in New Zealand. And he also went to the Chargers mini camp. This is him on the far right there. He went to the Chargers mini camp, but because he has not played a game in the NFL or the NCAA, he was declared eligible in October to play. He also had offers from Utah, North Carolina, Arizona, Arizona State, West Virginia, Baylor, BYU. In December, he ran a 4.63 40 as a 6'6", 270 tight end.
6'7".
You mentioned that guys are just
6'7".
What's the 6'6"?
He's actually 6'7", 270. But
is he?
Yeah, I mean that is.
But yeah, I mean, as you mentioned, they're just adding athletes like crazy. And I just want to go down the list real quick. These are just based off of WSU football's announcements. Rogers buyout.
It's definitely being reimbursed back into the program, but I think it's a little bit more than Rogers's buyout. I mean,
$4 million was
$4 million. I mean,
and Rogers was paying that back himself, from my understanding. It wasn't.
I've never seen that before. I don't.
So thank you, Rogers.
He's got to be one of the first coaches to do that.
So starting off with, these are just by, when Washington State announced them on their official account. This is Jalen Thomas, cornerback out of San Jose State. And Dylan, if you have any comments on these guys, feel free to jump in. 6 foot, 185.
Yeah, sorry to jump in right off on.
Yeah.
We can't see each other right now. Hey, redshirt freshman, started all 12 games at San Jose State this year. So, obviously the cornerbacks coach from San Jose State, now the safeties coach, Burns here at WSU. That was the only tidbit I had on Jalen. If you want to kind of finish his.
Yeah, so he's a sophomore, 3-star. He was the 117th ranked cornerback. As you mentioned, started all 12 games, 59 tackles, 1 tackle for loss. He had 6 pass breakups, 2 fumble recoveries. He also is available on the punt return. Obviously, we have a guy that's going to be taking over punt returns. But he returned 7 punts with an average of 7.1 yards. Number 2 is Jaleel Tucker. This is another cornerback out of Oregon State this time. 6 foot, 175. He's going to be a senior this year. He's a 3-star. Basically, all of these guys are 3-stars that we're getting in transfers. But he was the number 10 junior college recruit in the country last season, coming out of San Diego Mesa College before he committed to Oregon State. And then coming out of high school, he was the number 75 national recruit coming out of high school, and he committed to the Ducks at the time. So, I mean, a big need at the cornerback position potentially is filled by these two guys. We'll see if they continue adding some depth there. Any comments on Jaleel?
Yeah, Jaleel started all 12 games at Oregon State, was a big-time recruit coming out of San Diego, from the prep scene, committed to Oregon, and then had a couple seasons at San Diego Mesa Community College. So, I mean, this is a guy that knows Bray's system, obviously coming over with Trent Bray, but I mean, looks to me like, you're looking to bring in 3-4 guys. Who knows if Kai Rapola comes back, AJ Davis as well. Those are two guys that really haven't made any announcements. AJ Davis was a transfer from SMU last season. Kai Rapola from Cal Poly. So, I mean, at the end of the day, get guys in to compete. That's basically what we're looking at. And the safeties too that you'll get to here. Basically WSU attacked the secondary at the initial outset of the transfer portal. And then, is really hitting hard in terms of the defensive line. But this has been obviously a defensive oriented portal push to get guys in here. So, we'll see what Coach Bray can do. I still need to get in and take a look at what Bray's base defenses look like, in terms of just kind of recruiting what or taking a look at what our defensive coordinator's doing.
Luke Webb stated, and if you haven't seen it yet, go check it out after this live, but I had on redshirt freshman edge defender Luke Webb on the podcast. He basically stated that it's a 4-2-5 that Bray is going to be running. So for what it's worth. But moving along, number 3 that was announced on Washington State's official Instagram. This is Nyland Brown, linebacker out of Kent State, 5'11", 225. He's going to be a junior. He's a 3-star as well. He has 22 games in his career so far, 58 tackles. He's started just 3 games. So as you'll notice with, a few of these guys, a lot of these guys, they're positional depth at other universities, but some serious talent that is going to get some everyday reps moving forward.
Yeah, and he played with Caden Beatty at Kent State, and Caden Beatty was on the prowl over the last week, helping with recruiting, and you got to figure he played a hand in bringing Nyland Brown to Pullman.
And number 4, this is Jack Ball, I believe is how you pronounce it. He's a safety out of Arizona State, 6'2", 185. Some good size for a safety. He's going to be a junior this year, another 3-star. He played in 4 games, 24 snaps. He started out as a walk-on at Arizona State and then was promoted to a scholarship. And articles state that he was close to having more playing time, but there just wasn't the opportunity at Arizona State. So the first of the safeties that was announced.
Yeah, my tidbit was former walk-on added to the Scully count before this season started. So just another guy to come in and compete for snaps. Next
up is Tank Hawkins. I mean, you watch this guy's tape. My ankles left my body after I watched just the first route that he ran. The speed that this guy has is ridiculous. He's 5'10", 178. He's a 3-star. He had just 2 catches for 16 yards at Florida this past season, but in high school, ran a 4.25 40. He's probably faster now. He's added 13 pounds, likely of pure muscle at college. But back in high school, he was actually first in West Virginia at the 3.8 track in the 100 and 200 as a sophomore. He won the 60-meter indoor at Florida Indoor Championships when he moved to IMG in Florida. So, I mean, Tank Hawkins, the first offensive transfer. And we didn't even mention that, Leo Pulalasi was announced today that he was taken out of the portal. He is resigning. So now on offense, after we get
Leo's my guy.
Yeah. After we get through this next guy, now we have Caden Pinnick.
Hold on. Yeah. Let's go back to Tank. All right. Let's play a little clip.
I know.
Boy, that is going to be fun to watch. 10 catches in 2024 for 100 yards, 1 touchdown. It's like a 40-yard bomb from Lagway, who committed to Baylor So
Oh, wow.
he's going to be fun to watch. Maybe he's a guy too that, helps out in the return game with Tony Freeman, or you put Tony and Tank back there on kick return.
Yeah. So now on offense, talking about this next guy next, we have Caden Pinnock, who's coming out of UC Davis. You have potentially Owen Eshelman, who is going to be competing for the lead spot. We'll see if they continue to go after maybe a quarterback with more experience in the portal, since they, you have two guys that are relatively young. Obviously, Caden Pinnock has quite a bit, has 1 year of experience. Then you have Tank Hawkins. You have Tony Freeman as the slot wide receivers. You now have a full running back room with Kirby Voorhees, Maxwell Woods, now Leo Pululasi. The tight end room is basically filled up. So I'm curious to see what they do on the outside wide receivers next.
Maybe Mackenzie Aline comes back. He showed some promise in a couple games, especially in that bowl game. Had that touchdown. When you take a look at just some of what Pinnock did, I mean, he was a big Sky, all freshman team, threw for 3,200 yards, 32 touchdowns, rushed for 3 last season. Big Sky freshman of the year and a freshman All-American. Last time that WSU picked up an FCS freshman All-American, well, that turned out to be Cam Ward. So, obviously people are high on Owen Eshelman as well, but there's got to be another quarterback coming in, at least another prep quarterback that's going to take Kirkland's spot. And do you bring in a Zevi type? And what I mean by Zevi type is, do you bring in a guy that's had some snaps, at the D1 level somewhere, that's an upperclassman, a junior, senior? So that'll be interesting to see how WSU and Kirby Moore, kind of fill out this quarterback room.
And Julian Duggar hasn't hit the portal, correct? He's still
He
on the
has
roster?
not. He has not. And we don't know what the expectation there is, but I mean, seems like a guy that could, sit for a year, learn the system and see what he can do with Kirby Moore, at the helm. But I mean, yeah, you go into next year with Duggar, Eshelman, and Pinnock, bring in another prep guy and perhaps, another guy to help compete, because, in a perfect world, Pinnock comes in, takes us to the playoff, wins 10 games, transfers somewhere else, and Eshelman's got the job the following year, Yeah. But that's putting the mad scientist hat on. Oh man,
So,
Miami touchdown with 20 seconds left. That's brutal. I'm on Ole Miss money line, so that's no bueno.
back to Caden Pinnock. So he's 6'1", 190. He's going to be a sophomore this next year. This freshman year at UC Davis, he went 240 for 345. That's a 69.6 completion percentage, 3,206 passing yards, 32 touchdowns to 10 interceptions. He also carried the ball 125 times for 437 yards, which is an average of 3.5, and he had 3 touchdowns. So a true dual threat quarterback, along with, Eshelman is a dual threat quarterback as well. Add in Duggar, he's a dual threat quarterback. So very exciting quarterback room at the moment heading into the next year. Next up is Jeremiah Bernard. He's another safety. This guy's out of Cal Poly, 6'1", 195. He's going to be a junior, and apparently he has a red shirt available also if needed. But he was the second team all Big Sky. He had 57 tackles, 1 sack, a forced fumble, 4 interceptions, 10 pass breakups, and he's a 3-star as well. So a couple strong safeties to start off the transfer portal.
Yeah, Jeremiah Bernard, 3-star transfer portal rating. Had some offers from similar profile schools as WSU. Another guy that's going to come in, compete at the safety spot. Kyle Peterson announced that, he was never in the transfer portal, but there was an announcement that he re-upped, and that's a guy that played a lot of snaps as a freshman, especially on special teams, had that fumble recovery as well. We'll see what the secondary looks like. That, I think we have a conference championship offense. I just don't know about the defense yet.
Yeah, we'll have to see. And then adding to it, this is the first of the edges that we're mentioning. officially via Washington State's account. This is Edua Okunde, which I just absolutely butchered. If you have a pronunciation, let me know. But he's coming out of Arizona, 6'2", 243. He's a sophomore, 3-star. That's all I got on him. But looking at his stuff, he's a very impressive guy as well.
Yeah, bringing in guys that, have talent, especially at the edge. Can you get after the quarterback? Can you create a room where now you have Edua, you got a Luke Webb in here, the edge from SMU, Fernando Laconia also, announced that he's coming back, as well as Hughes. So now you're starting to see the rooms put together. Defensive tackle is still, a key position. I'm sure you'll get to, and here we go. Ike Okafor, the transfer from California. And that's, we're waiting for when are one of these Andrew Browning guys going to follow. And Ike is the first one to follow from Cal. Had some good offers out of high school, Texas Tech being one of them. So you're bringing in guys that have, some talent and are looking for a spot to get meaningful snaps.
And also something that I'm noticing with a lot of these guys is that there's quite a bit of eligibility on the table. Not most of these guys are not, 5th year, 4th year seniors. A majority of these guys have 2-3 years of eligibility, some with even 4 years of eligibility. So very exciting. This guy is 6'3", 280. He is a redshirt freshman. He was a 3-star as a prospect. We'll see if they continue to add to the defensive line.
And just to add to your point on just the eligibility, and on these 11 incoming transfers, I believe only 2 are seniors, which is going to be the Vandy DE and then Jaleel Tucker, the cornerback from Oregon State. So you're getting guys with 2-3 years of eligibility. Tank Hawkins, another guy, he's going to have 3 years of eligibility on the offensive side of the ball. So yeah, the names just keep flying, and it just, we keep texting each other like, what is going on? Like, it just continues.
Speaking of, this is Linus Zunk. He is an edge from Vanderbilt, 6'6", 270. Some of these edge guys are pretty big guys. And then also, so do you want to kind of talk through his experience? Did I see that he was also at Oklahoma?
No, I want to say he's been at Vandy his entire time. 38 career tackles, 7.5 tackles for loss, 5 sacks in 3 seasons. And, it's funny, we had a buddy tell us, like, typically when you see the fans of that team mad in the comments or a little upset, that's a good thing, right? That they're upset that Zunk isn't returning to Vanderbilt. And this just strikes me as a guy that's looking for playing time somewhere, a spot that he still can, have playoff eligibility. We've been saying, like, you take a look at what's going on at UW over the past week, and obviously the news that DeMond is coming back, but I mean, gosh, like, not to switch it up here, but I feel like that could, like, really unravel him coming back as opposed to him leaving. I mean, the locker room, I mean,
we can
range of emotions. You go from thinking you're losing your quarterback. A couple, players are tweeting about it, saying, "Hey, we're good with what we got." But by the way, this full-on offensive by UW has been led by Pat Chun. I mean, he's just texting every single one of his reporter buddies, and going on a full-on offensive against Damon Williams. But yeah. Guess who we open with next year? In Seattle, in Montlake, at UW. Welcome to Washington State, Kirby Moore.
Yeah, let's just kind of talk through that for a second if you want to. So Damon Williams, he signed a contract with University of Washington for what is reported in the mid $4 million range, which is towards the top of the quarterback market. 4 days later, apparently LSU is the rumored team, Lane Kiffin, that offered him approaching $6 million. So Damon Williams
is a day after Sam Levitt was on campus too for LSU.
From what I saw, a video on Instagram that I saw of a guy reporting, Sam Levitt was on campus at LSU, like watching a basketball game with Lane Kiffin, when it was reported that Damon Williams was going to be going to LSU. And then Sam Levitt immediately scheduled a or he already had it planned, a visit to Tennessee. So, I mean, talk about awkward. Like, what does LSU do now? I mean, now it was announced that Damon Williams, after his agent has departed from him, decided to part ways due to a difference in philosophical differences, I believe what was said. But now, a full day of UW media just completely destroying
just
Damon Williams.
losing his mind.
Complete
3
meltdown,
p.m.
which, I mean, like last year we lost John Mateer to Oklahoma. There was that whole thing. It's like future Heisman guy gone. Now UW loses a future Heisman guy.
Yeah, Oklahoma was basically setting up their new offensive coordinator and quarterback as we're ranked number 19.
We're at game number 7 or 8 in the season.
Yeah, and if you guys haven't checked out our Keith Brown interview, get to that. I mean, Keith was awesome. He talked about it too. He was like damn near week 6, week 7. It was already in the locker room. And you had the story of Falili last year sticking up the collective or the NIL before the San Diego State game saying, yeah, you know what? I'm going to redshirt this season if I don't get a pay bump. So that's just the world we're in.
But yeah, I mean, what does that do to the chemistry of the UW team? And
yeah, who knows? Yeah, that's enough UW though for the show.
It's negative.
We got to laugh at him.
Yeah, but
it's negative, but he's still coming back. I mean, this is weird.
That's true. I'll mention another thing. Washington State. So there was 5 new staff hires that were specifically for recruiting and player personnel that were added. They're up to 22 now hires on the Kirby Moore staff. More to come as well. But there was a chief of staff that was hired recently. There was a director of player personnel, director of recruiting operations, director of recruiting strategy, director of scouting. Obviously, the GM was on the Cougar Collective podcast yesterday, and people were wanting to run through a brick wall after hearing what he had to say of, like, obviously, we want to build a playoff team and compete, win the Pac-12 championship, go to the playoffs, and build something that's sustainable. And so once we get those guys on, we'll see if we can dig a little bit and figure out, where is this coming from? I mean, is this rev share? Is this
I'm
NIL?
Sure they'll tell us.
Yeah, of course. They'll be totally but I mean, I've seen renderings of the new LED lights, that Barstool Wazoo put out today with like the fully red stadium or crimson stadium. So a lot of fun, exciting stuff that's happening on the Palouse right now. Any other thoughts or comments? Otherwise, we can wrap this one up and just report as we see.
I'll tell you this, like when we're taking a look at still spots, I want to see the roster constructed. I want to see another center in on this recruiting class, a transfer center coming in, give Kyle Martin some competition. We want somebody solid at center. We've been lucky enough to have Brock Doe in that position over the last 2 years. So that's an area that I'd like to see WSU still go after. Xavier Thorpe was announced too that he re-signed. So, you've got Thorpe, you've got Dunham, you've got Johnny Lester, Kyle Martin. I'm missing a couple names here, but you have 6 or 7 offensive linemen that are coming back. And, you maybe fill it with a couple more guys. I know one of the guards from Oregon State took a visit. So who knows what else Bray can bring in from the Beavs side of things. Their best player, Trent Walker, just announced he's going to Houston. Guess who Houston opens up with next year? Oregon State. I wonder if that plays at all, where it's like, hey, like we're interested in you coming here and playing. Oh, by the way, you get to play your old team. Obviously the DE transfer from Arizona has that with the Cougs this season. So let's see what we can do as well. I say center, I'll stay on the line of scrimmage on the defensive side of things. Is a few more defensive tackles coming in here as well. I think Caden Beatty is going to be a guy that's going to play a lot of snaps and be a big time contributor next year if he can stay healthy. So that's kind of my areas. Maybe even bring in another guy in the secondary in terms of like another safety, another corner. Still have to see what happens with Kai Rapola, AJ Davis. There's still a lot of names. Somebody commented here above. Let me see if I can find it in terms of the Iowa State numbers. Yeah. So of the 35 Cougs in the portal, 13 followed Rogers to Iowa State. I think that number might have grown today. Plano, that was a giant head scratcher, was Boston College of all places. I mean, talk about people want to call Pullman a wasteland. That's a recruiting wasteland. Boston College, my goodness. I didn't know they played high school football in Connecticut. And I know that's like their recruiting ground, Connecticut, Boston, New Hampshire, Massachusetts. It's just, oh man, that's not too good. In terms of what you're seeing from the roster, obviously, you bring in Pinnock as a quarterback. What are areas you want to see them, still expand on and still work?
I think the two areas would be wideout and then linebacker for me. Because obviously right now there's the 2 slot guys. I don't know how much depth we have at the wide receiver core. We'll see if, Devin Ellison is still out there in the portal. We'll see if maybe they try to retain him. He's a speedy wideout guy, but there might've been some issues there that played into it. So I would reckon, what was that?
There were some issues. I would see him coming back, but I do like playing with him in college football 26. So
so a couple wideouts, with Moore's offense, I think would make a lot of sense, and then fill up the linebacker room a bit more. You just can't have too much depth at those positions. So yeah, really exciting. I think quarterback is set, running back is set, tight end set. The offensive line, as you mentioned, you could add some, but you have a solid base. And then now with all of these additions today on the defensive side, you filled out a lot of the spots to where there were graduates last year. Just continue to add some depth pieces, and we've seen names floating across Twitter and in group chats that are yet to be announced of guys that are still to come. And so that depth is definitely coming.
Ooh, great comment here. Daniel Blood, still taking his visit to Iowa State. I'm not sure. I know Blood's visit was supposed to be Tuesday of this week in Pullman. A couple other visits to get to. Portland State defensive end Spencer Elliott was on a visit. I think either today or yesterday. I do also know that Matthias McLean, Idaho defensive end that's in the portal, he took a visit to WSU as well. And when you take a look at the highest graded defensive ends in the Big Sky last year, number 1, Portland State defensive end, Spencer Elliott. Number 3, Idaho defensive end Matthias McLean, and McLean tore up WSU all game. He was the one that forced that fumble on Angel Johnson inside the red zone. He was tough to stop. So I would keep your eyes peeled on a couple of those names there. There's also a defensive tackle from Marshall that has Caden Beatty, Andrew Browning, the defensive line coach, as well as Kirby Moore. They're all following each other. So take that however you want it. A DT from Marshall. So yeah. Well, hey, don't worry. We don't have to watch him, get the ball on a 4th and 1 inside the goal line ever again this year. And that happened more times than you want to admit this season. I probably saw it 2 or 3 times. But yeah, I mean, Coug 2020, definitely need a wide receiver with length, 2 great slot receivers. It's going to be exciting we've got a lot of speed. You have Tank Hawkins and Tony Freeman on the field at the same time. And, the 1 touchdown catch he had, I didn't have enough time to download it for the show, but he beat double coverage just because he runs a 4.25 and was sitting alone in the end zone, beating the safety in the corner, safety over the top, and the corner side by side. So, can you bring in a guy that's going to be like a Josh Meredith, a possession type receiver, bigger body, still has some speed? Like Josh did it all his last season here. He really made an effort to get faster last offseason, and we saw it pay dividends this year. Josh had a fantastic year. So Lance McGee, that is another prep that we need to talk about. And what is Jamarcus Shepard doing? I mean, he's been the Oregon State head coach for 3 or 4 weeks. And the first conversation he had with McGee was the day prior to him, ending up going back and reopening his recruitment. We've seen that, he was promised NIL when he got there. It wasn't what he was promised. We've heard reports that WSU was going to double that, and McGee obviously running back and a linebacker, but from what we're seeing, reading the tea leaves online, it seems like he wants to be a running back first, and they end up with Trey Garrison, who was the Edna Carr running back that signed with Jimmy Rogers. So we've seen if you're a CFC luxury suite member, there's quite some tidbits on Lance McGee in there. And all we'll say is that perhaps the McGee family's asking for some RV information. All right. That's all we've heard.
Yeah. And just to add, this comment, Missouri backs rush for like 2,600 yards combined. I think all backs will get their share if you're a top 3 back. Kirby Voorhees, Leo Pulalasi, Maxwell Woods. That's a stacked 1-2-3.
And the other huge thing about Leo coming back is like now, like I hate to say this, but like you can afford an injury. 2 guys in the room, one injury really, makes a difference. Now you have some serious depth. You've got Leo in short yardage, situations, goal line situations to be your power back. Kirby can also pack the punch as well. And then Maxwell Woods, he turns into what we thought Angel Johnson would be. Obviously, he's a little bit bigger, but what we saw in that Utah State game, him in the open field, boy, he makes guys miss. He's hard to bring down. He was a lot of fun to watch. And, it was funny, watching that bowl game and watching him go off. It was like, God, I was just like, there's no chance he's coming back. Right. And, a week later, Kirby inks him. And I mean, that was like one of those moments, you bring in Woods, you bring in Voorhees, then you bring in Freeman. I mean, there was some serious momentum and they have not let off the gas pedal. And I mean, you take a look at what's happening to Boise State too. I mean, they're losing everybody left and right. They've lost their starting safeties. Ty Benfield went to LSU. Lane Kiffin came in and snatched him. You still got Maddox Madsen at quarterback. Sire Gaines entered the transfer portal. They're losing guys. Louder graduated. They have not had to go through what WSU. I'd put them almost in the same boat as Iowa State. I mean, Ashton Genty was offered a boatload of money to play elsewhere in his should have been Heisman campaign season, and he stuck it through with Boise State. So they're starting to really feel what it feels like to have the transfer portal basically, wreck your roster. So we'll see how Danielson and Boise State move forward, but you can't count them out ever, in terms of just what they've done over the last 30 years and also just the resources that they have, in Boise, being the only show in town, in Idaho. So, I think next year, you heard it here first. The sleeper team in the Pac-12 is going to be Fresno State. I really believe that. I think Matt Entz has that team going in the right direction. They've done some things in the transfer portal. A big thing for them is quarterback, though. If they can bring a quarterback in, that place is tough to play in. When Fresno State is good, they can pack 42,000 people in there. And, there's some tradition with Fresno State. So they're my sleeper dog going into the Pac-12, next year. And we'll see what Jim Mora does, with Colorado State. They bring in, a big time transfer quarterback that has some wheels, with Mestamaker transferring from North Texas. Well, all of a sudden, that's where other schools look, okay, hey, we're going to come in, we're going to grab that 4-star, that's been sitting for the past year and a half. So, we'll see what Colorado State can do, because I think Jim Mora can get them turned around and at 6 wins at least next year. I mean, that's a team that went 2-10 last season. So
and we'll have to see what the rankings on 247 say of the Pac-12 rankings in the portal with who won the portal. And then shout out to let's see where I could find the comment here. Yeah, Rocker Farm. He's in Germany. It's 5:45 in the morning right now, and he's watching the Cougs on the Couch live stream. So shout out to you. But like he stated, special teams, core offense is locked down, defense is coming together. Dylan, this comment?
Yeah, is this a Colorado State fan? I don't know.
Keep an eye out for Owen Snively, offensive line from Colorado State. WSU is the highest
WSU,
rated
wow.
Pac-12 portal class at the moment. Love to hear that.
2 more quarterback spots. Have to imagine one will be a
Chad?
redshirt senior. Shout out Chad from up west. Those guys have been, doing a lot of those recruits. We're seeing all those photo edits. They've been fun to see. So, yeah, I mean, we'd like to hear from you. I mean, who do we see as the number one competitor in the Pac-12 next year to WSU? Because it's funny. Last year Oregon State had this. I mean, they won the offseason. They go out, they get Malik Murphy, Hankerson comes back, they end up 2-10. I'm not saying that's going to happen here, but we also have to take off seasons with a grain of salt as well. So, like I said, at the start of the show, offensively, I like where we're at. Defensively, there's some unknowns, but there's some serious athletes that are coming into WSU, especially the SMU kid. I mean, to have those types of offers out of school, Bama, Michigan. I mean, those guys. And what's funny is the Arizona edge as well as the SMU edge and Ike Okafor were all offered by previous staffs. I'm pretty sure they were all Dickert's staff here at WSU, taking a look at the 247 full composite, offer list. So who knows? Maybe, they've already visited Pullman once before, but, just exciting times. I think I'm most excited for Tank Hawkins. I mean, the fact that we're bringing in a Florida.
Dylan's a big NCAA, guy. So he's just wanting to Tank Hawkins.
Well, it's funny. My buddy sent me, I sent the speed and then it showed his rating and it was 74 overall. And my one buddy's like, what does he have, bricks for hands?
Because he's a 97 speed.
Yeah. And then, my other buddy posted this is probably his route tree and it's just 4 birds.
Yeah.
So, hey, we'll see.
Yeah, I love it. A ton of positive news on the Palouse. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below on the people being added. Yeah, the easy answer for me of the most competitive next year is Boise State, just because they tend to bring it every year. But really exciting. We'll keep you posted as we see more on the transfer portal. But for now, make sure to like and subscribe to the Couch GM. Follow us on the Cougs on the Couch across social medias, and we'll see you in the next one.
I do have to give a shout out to the podcast, the Couch GM Pod.